Okay, so here we are inside, and so this is what we're talking about here. You can kind of see here that there's an occasional stone put in, but there are these wide open gaps underneath as well. So these are essentially dropped on dirt in places, and then there are other places where you see stones coming out from underneath, and that's a good thing. But then you dig down and it doesn't go anywhere. And there's dirt, and again, you can stick. We had some probe bars, and we were going through underneath. That's not what you want to see. Clearly, the fireplace down on this side got taken down. We were hoping for good news under it, and what we got was rubble. That's down to dirt right there. You're seeing the dirt right there. It's a little deeper over here. Again, maybe 18 inches, 2 feet of kind of the rubble that they were digging around, I'm sure, as they excavated the basement originally and just piled it in here. It's a layer of mortar on these loose stones, and so no wonder this thing was in the condition it was in. With the back half of the house here going up and down every season, this was kind of separate from that, and not all of it wanted to heave, and so we got those giant cracks and poor condition. If you'll recall, last time we did everything, you can notice they took that one chimney down to the top of this fireplace, and I asked him to hold off on doing anything with that until we kind of examined what was likely to be under it. And with this being the case, there's no way that we can do. We were really hoping for the scenario that was at the front of the house, with the big slabs of granite or something stable and massive that would be easier to work around, easier to pick away at, and we just don't have that. So you can see, you get over there and really get down, and you can see what we're dealing with. Got a few layers of stone and dirt. So, I mean, this is what we got. A few layers of stone, some mortar, and then you get, I don't know, a foot, 18 inches. Here's a big stone that they kept right in place, and then it's dirt. It's all just falling away, and we didn't want to pick at it too much and see it all disappear, but that's what's supporting this. And if we try to peel it away from the wall, it's just unrealistic to think that we can save this. So we got to this point. Now while I'm in here, you can see that we did dig this down a bit to the bottom of these stones, and which is how we had the bad news there. It's much wider out here. You see how it kind of flares out. It's getting wider and wider as it goes in here. That's what we were hoping to find there, and we didn't. So this would have been okay. We would have saved this and kind of benched in and poured some concrete behind it, and then poured this floor in place. That was originally the plan, to just leave it a couple of feet deep here as a crawl space, but insulated and with a vapor barrier, and modernize it so that it would be able to kind of maintain temperature and humidity levels, and be healthy, so you're not getting mold growing in the dirt or anything like that. So that could have worked. The top of it would have had to been reworked pretty significantly, and we were going to have to so the wall here would have stayed, but we would have needed to support it from the outside with new stud walls on the new footers that we were doing. So it was going to stay, but really only act as a bench to lock the crawl space in. So what does this all mean? That's been what Liz and I and the builder have been thinking about over the last several days. Over a week, we've been contemplating this. This is why I haven't done a video in a while. And quite frankly, not much has happened since we've been doing this. And really, we got to the point where, we're not really saving anything. We opened walls up and we said, well, that's no good. We're going to have to replace that. We got, rotten beams in the first floor, beams in the condition of this, and it was going to be more expensive to try to sister onto these things that we would never see anyway. And so, okay, we rip out the first floor. Second floor had a whole bunch of unsupported beams in areas where, we weren't necessarily going to have support under it, and it was the same deal. We'd have to sister everything on, and I think we've had this conversation where, like, the floor system of the second floor and the third floor were going to get done too, brand new. So what were we really saving? Well, this wall we knew had to come out because it's rotten on the sill and all this stuff. So the back half is basically all brand new too, even the wood, and the front half was gonna stay. So that's one thing. This front facade was gonna stay, and so that's something we could still salvage. The brick on the ends of the house, kind of the same deal. We started chipping away. It was really bad, in bad shape, and this chimney had to come down. And then we looked at it once we had things open up, and this one was just as bad. It had to come down, and we weren't going to take two chimneys down. That was going to look weird. Plus, we want to put them all back and make them look right on the outside anyway. And it would have simplified framing and everything to have all four come down. And there you go. We lost all 8 fireplaces, including this one, now because of the condition of the supports underneath it. And again, what are we really saving here? It's the brick on the outside that is also in really tough shape and going to take months to repair and replace. So we got to the point where it became evident that we needed to understand what it was worth, what the cost of doing all of these repairs it was versus doing a rebuild, like a bona fide, complete, take it all down and rebuild it. And it was about $2,000 less expensive. I mean, $2,000 in the scheme of this project is nothing. So it was essentially the same price to do all of these complicated repairs, hope they all work, and expect some settling anyway. Certainly would take longer to do, so we'd be out of here for longer. And potentially will down the line uncover more problems that could incur more expense and not in fact be the same cost, but be more expensive. The alternative is to start over. And that is a real kick in the nuts, because we bought this place so that nobody would knock it down. And here we are considering knocking it down. I don't like it, but I got to be able to afford it. We're over $100,000 into this project, and all that we've done is made it horribly ugly and uncover all the warts. And there's a lot more to do, and there's a lot more potential for bad news. Certainly in the basement, which is again a critical area. We don't know what we don't know down there, just like we didn't know what we don't know down here. And quite frankly, Liz and I are leaning right now to starting over, starting clean. There are scenarios that we mapped out where we could save the ends of the brick in place. Super expensive. That's not in budget. if we were to take it down. But we could reuse some of the brick or do reproduction. So that would be something. Mason was encouraging us not to reuse this brick for anything that would be in contact with the weather. Seen lots of areas of massive degradation of the brick. Brick at this time period was made from materials that they found right on site or within a few miles. So this is not necessarily the strongest brick that we could get right now. We could get a restoration that would be identical in size and markings, and color, and be made out of hard stuff that'll last another 200 years without deteriorating like this brick did. We could also do it as a veneer, meaning we'd get better performance out of the ends of the house. Integrate it with a new foundation. We'd keep the stones, the granite stones that you would see, all the trim that we've been saving. So the real difference is what we get out of a new building. And the first thing that we get out of a new build is peace of mind. Peace of mind that this wall is going to stay put. Peace of mind that it's not going to settle. Peace of mind that the basement's going to stay dry because it'll have a real drainage tile around the perimeter of the footing. And we know what's done on the outside is done right. So we were doing everything on the inside here, and we'll do a lot of it still on the inside because I guess that's the best way to do it, but we'll have real waterproofing on the outside. We'd also have a bigger basement. The pricing was done such that we'd have a full basement for the entirety of the main house and the addition that would come out here. So that's another positive that we see. Not that we need more space in this house, but along the way we haven't really discussed this part, but we've been having a lot of issues with financing this project because of some of the special things that we're doing. Number one, the net zero energy savings doesn't really compute for an appraisal, and we haven't been getting credit for that. And so we've been coming up with different appraisal numbers than cost to build numbers, and we've been off by 6 figures. It's not a small issue. The other thing that is the issue with the appraisal is that regardless of how much work we did to this place, they would only comp it against other 200-plus-year-old homes in the area. We felt that was incredibly unfair, but ultimately we get no say in the matter. So regardless of if it's 90% new or 95% brand new, we were going to get comped against a 200-year-old home. And 200-year-old homes aren't custom built, net zero, brand new everything. They're what we had. And maybe they've remodeled their kitchen, but again, still not a fair comp. So that was holding our appraisal numbers down pretty significantly, about $100,000. If we were to take this down and rebuild, it would be a new home, and it would get comped against other custom-built homes. The net zero stuff may not compute still, but it would certainly get us to a point where we could afford to finish the project. And that's been a real concern of ours for about, 2 or 3 months now. We've been going along, spending money out of pocket, and honestly unsure if we could finish the project. So this is all part of the equation when we're trying to make this decision. And like I commented on in the previous video, this decision's essentially going to be made for us. I mean, we're seriously exploring the knockdown scenario, and if the bank likes that scenario better, meaning if they're willing to appraise it for a higher value and look at it as a new build all of a sudden, because I guess it would be, then we'd kind of have to go that route. And there's some benefits to it. Like I said, the cost is essentially the same. And you know what we'd want you to know is if we went this route, the end product would essentially be the same. We would build this house. We won't take this as an opportunity to go and get a modular. We won't take this up to build a ranch here or to do something else. We would rebuild this house. We've got it all in plans. Right down to the granite slabs on the foundation. The exact same ones. We found a place that will resaw the slabs. These were some of the conversations we were having with our contractors. Can we use this brick? Can we make it exactly the same? Do we need to get the architects out here to take any measurements beforehand to make sure it goes back the same as it was originally built? And we even found a place that would resaw the slabs to be as thick as a brick, and then we'll be able to do a standard kind of brick ledge on the foundation, on the concrete pour, and then install the same granite slabs in the same places along the perimeter of the house. The brick, again, we're still up in the air with that. Is it worth the added expense to recycle this brick and bring it back in for the facade? The brick would not be structural on the ends, by the way. When we bring the brick back, it will not be structural. It will be a veneer, a brick ledge in the foundation, and it'll look exactly the same from the outside. And we were planning on taking the function of all of these little steps out of the brick anyway. This is not the way you do it today. So, it would be a stud wall and brick on the outside, like they'd build it today. But from the outside, we'd have 4 chimneys coming out the roof, brick ends, and windows and doors in the same exact locations, and a bigger basement, and a project we could afford to finish. So that is the big bad news this week. Stay tuned. We're gonna have to make a decision here in the next week or so, and we'll have a follow-up video. I genuinely do not like where we ended up here. It was exactly the opposite of what we were trying to do. But we gotta finish. So we're doing everything we can to get to the finish line here and see some light at the end of the tunnel. So hope everybody's doing well. If you watch this video and want to chat, give me a ring. I've already reached out to a few people who I think would care about this, and had some conversations, and I think everybody feels the same way that I do so far. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Hope you're doing well, and look out for that next video. It's gonna be a whopper.